So let's start with the experimental program. Experimental 1 in the field. This is the cover crop experiment that we've been running for 3 years now. Basically what we do is we grow a cover crop over winter and then we defoliate it at various times or leave it growing until we plough or cultivate just before doing our secondary cultivations for planting.
I'm standing by the cover crop experiment. So this is part of the HDB funded programme on looking at rotations. This particular aspect of the project, we're looking at cover crops. We've got very similar project experiments looking at organic amendments. If you cast your mind back to the first Members' Day, we discussed the effects of the cover crops and when it was defoliated on emergence of the potato crop. With the early defoliated cover crop resulting in early emergence of the potato crop. And what we've seen is that reflected in the development of ground cover. So there's a graph you can see which shows that the ground cover development is faster in the early defoliated cover crops than where the crops were either undefoliated or late defoliated. All the crops are now at 100% ground cover. There is some difference in canopy height. And interestingly, the shorter canopies are actually correspond to the early defoliated cover crops. The reason for that we don't know. We have taken a range of soil samples where we can look at things like bulk density, porosity, water content, and that may well explain some of these differences we're seeing. We're not taking any yield digs until the end of the season, so we won't know the exact effect of the differences in ground cover on yield until that time.
So what we're going to do now is pan through 3 plots showing you the ground cover of the different treatments in the cover crop. The plot you're looking at straight ahead of you is the early defoliation, the one that emerged a week earlier than the 2 contrasting treatments, and the one that reached full ground cover a week earlier. What you might notice as you span through the plots is fewer flowers, and the crop is significantly shorter in terms of its height here. It's largely squatted down, not lodged but squatted down. If we now pan to the left, the treatment you're about to see is the late defoliated crop, which was defoliated 2 weeks before we did our primary cultivations, as opposed to 6 weeks, which was the previous plot. Much taller crop, flowers more profuse, and just a week behind in terms of it. But the difference is the canopy height, albeit the same ground cover, complete 100%. If we pan to the right now, you'll go back over the late defoliated crop and then ended up in the plot that actually had its cover crop undefoliated, i.e. ploughed in or cultivated in at the point of primary cultivation. Again, similar to the late defoliated crop.